Looking at the fallout around Joe Biden, Axios is reporting that Democratic US Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has privately signalled to donors that he's open to a Democratic presidential candidate other than Joe Biden. It's certainly a big change in rhetoric, especially from what we've been seeing rather publicly.
Well, they're running out of options. Kamala Harris isn't smart enough to string 5 words together. I mean, her public speaking ability is absolutely terrible. She just says stuff that doesn't even make sense. So I don't think anybody's really going to campaign or cheerlead for her other than the fact that she's the incumbent to it. And they can say that, oh, well, all the policies that Joe Biden did are going to continue under her. But who they really want is Gavin Newsom, or I wouldn't be surprised. And if they were smart, they need to nominate AOC. I know that sounds crazy, and AOC is nuttier than a fruitcake, but she is, according to Vanity Fair, the 3rd most popular politician behind Biden and Trump. So I would say if I was the Democratic Party right now, I would lean on AOC, but they're not going to do that. They're going to pick another Gavin Newsom, a blue blood white guy who is probably the opposite of true progressivism, in my personal opinion.
There has been a bit of speculation around Kamala Harris, and we do have a clip of her if we need reminding of exactly what she's like.
This whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making.
That's one of my favorites from Kamala Harris.
Well, she's a liar. She has been to Europe. She's been to Europe multiple times. What is she even talking about? Like, she can't even give a valid excuse of why she's not fixing the border crisis. And you said it earlier in your monologue. I'm not even against immigration. I think Donald Trump has a good policy that if you're a college graduate, you should be entitled to a green card. I like that policy because, here in America, being an American citizen, it meant something. That's why there's a TV show called 90 Day Fiancé that's so popular, because people would literally marry 400-pound women just to become a United States citizen. And now they don't even have to do that. They can just go across the border in Venezuela. So America is the land of milk and honey, but they're degrading that by just letting in illegal immigrants that don't want to come here and pay taxes, that don't want to come here and make America better. They honestly are just running away from their criminal history in their countries. And I'm not saying that everybody that comes across the border is a criminal, but it's very obvious when you have Laken Riley and you've had people that have actually been murdered by illegal immigrants that have criminal histories, they shouldn't be allowed into America. If you're an American and you try to go to Canada and you have a DUI or DWI, driving while intoxicated, they won't even let you in Canada. We need to use some of those rules and have a stricter border, not a closed border, but a border that has a rule of law like our country is supposed to have.
Yeah, not an open border, essentially. Look, ABC News anchor George Stephanopoulos has revealed that he doesn't think Joe Biden can serve another 4 years after interviewing him last week. Here is a video published by TMZ.
Hey, Susan, hey, how you doing? Good. What do you think? Do you think Biden should step down? You talked to him more than anybody else have lately, and you could be honest. You don't think he can serve 4 more years? All right. That's an answer.
Now, George Stephanopoulos has since come out saying, I responded to a question from a passerby and I shouldn't have. And the ABC said in its own statement that George expressed his own point of view and not the position of the ABC News. But George Stephanopoulos also, like Nancy Pelosi, knows the game. He knows very well that his comments could be leaked. Do you think that there's a possibility George could have done this on purpose?
I mean, I am a conspiracy theorist, maybe, but I honestly think that he probably just said that and didn't realize that he was being recorded, but that's how he truly feels. I don't think that he was lying. Now, I mean, is he playing 5D chess where he would, purposely want some random person on the internet to leak it? I don't think it's gone that far, but everybody on the left does not want Joe Biden. The only person that wants Joe Biden to stay president is his family. I would argue, even though Joe Biden gives the illusion, he goes and does these speeches and says, oh, I'm going to be president, I'm going to run. Trust me, he wants to go eat ice cream. He wants to go on his beach house. He doesn't want to have KGAP yelling at him constantly. He doesn't want to have these public gaffes that, he doesn't know the internet and how viral he's going, but I'm sure that he understands that he's losing support from the American people, and he needs to retire because when it comes to his resume, I'll be honest, for progressive values, he was the first vice president with an African-American president. He was the first president with an African-American vice president. I'm saying these are progressive stuff that he should just retire on. Anything after that, he's just making himself look bad and making the
Yeah.
country just look even worse.
Do you mean when President Joe Biden referred to himself as a black woman?
Yes, I mean, he doesn't even know. He doesn't even know his own ethnicity anymore, and that's what he tried to say. He tried to talk about his progressive values and how that he was vice president for the first black president, and that he had the first female black vice president. And those are things that uh, to progressivism would be good, right? The first female vice president, the first black president, and he's the vice president. But he can't even express that sentiment. He can't even say that sentence. So that's where we're at. He can't say a simple sentence. He obviously cannot run the free world.
It's so bad. It's almost what's worse is the focus being on his mental fitness or on the real issues that America is facing, like the open border.
Well, people know that, Joe Biden's not calling the shots. I think people are realizing that more and more every day. And so it's not even the Biden cabinet that's making America so terrible, because what it really comes down to? Obviously, the immigration's terrible. Obviously, the inflation's bad. But when Donald Trump was last in office, gas prices were about $1.50 a gallon. Now it's over $4 a gallon. So once those gas prices rise, it makes all the trucking prices go up. It just totally wrecks our economy. So they could easily fix this, lower the gas prices, close the border, have some sort of election integrity. But those three things are not important. They're the least important things. They actually want to make it easier to vote without an ID. They want to make it easier to come here illegally. And they want to make it more expensive to buy a gas car because they want you to have an electric car. So these are simple fixes that they refuse to do. And it's very frustrating.
Look, all eyes are on Joe Biden at the moment at the NATO summit. Here he is just a few hours ago with Britain's new Prime Minister, Keir Starmer.
By the way, I heard. Good news. Good news is right. I tell you what, it's all because of the Prime Minister.
Not lost a game under the Labour government in 2024. It looks like it.
I know we keep saying it, but I just look at that clip and I just think he's so frail. He is so frail. How is he going to go tomorrow when he holds a press conference?
No, and he's probably, and they keep on saying this is a conspiracy or rumor, that he probably is hopped up on some sort of amphetamine or something to even keep him going. You can just watch him and see that he's a grandpa that needs to be with his grandchildren, relaxing on a front porch in a rocking chair, telling old stories about corn pop and talking about how his, cousin got eaten by cannibals. All those stories are great for your grandchildren, but for the American people on the world's biggest stage, it's time to retire. You cannot keep on just saying these old fishing stories and expect to just, have the same results, when in reality, he doesn't want to keep doing this. And he's not physically able to do this. Like, people have, their negative opinions of Donald Trump, but I think anybody that's being intellectually honest would say that Donald Trump is more rigor. He's more intense.
Of course.
He's way sharper than Joe Biden is. And it's just blatantly obvious.
Absolutely. And the age gap between Donald Trump and Joe Biden isn't really that much, but there's no question about Donald Trump's cognitive ability.
Well, what's even crazier? And you're going to have to fact check me on this, and I know I'm right. But Bill Clinton is somehow younger than Donald Trump and Joe Biden. I believe Bill Clinton is 76. I think Trump is 78 or 79, and Joe Biden's 81. And Bill Clinton looks terrible because he went through all the drama when he was president earlier. So these are all people that should not be running the free world. We should have some sort of age limit on the president of the United States. Make it 70 years old, because 70 is still relatively young. But once you're in your late 70s, there is a huge difference between 70 and 79.
100%, and especially when you have people who are so power hungry like Joe Biden and Jill Biden, who have finally made it to this position. They've worked their whole lives to be here, so they don't want to give it up. But let's look at the polling. The latest polling Politico is reporting is that Democrats are now worried that President Biden is taking New York for granted as the state becomes surprisingly competitive. Public polls over the last 4 months show that Joe Biden's lead in New York has narrowed to just 8 points, which is an unusually close margin in a state where Democrats outnumber Republicans 2-1. What do you make of the polling?
Well, people might not know this if you don't live in America, but, New York City and Chicago are two of the most highly densely populated African-American epicenters here in the United States. So these African Americans, when they're in the debate, they're talking about black jobs and how Trump wants to create more black jobs. a lot of people, construction jobs, labor jobs, typically a lot of African Americans might do in the United States, are being replaced by migrants, by illegal migrants. And people are starting to notice, especially in New York. And then you talk about the Israel and Palestine conflict. There's a lot of Islamic people that are, not supporting Joe Biden in New York City. So when you lose the African American community, when you lose the Muslim community, Joe Biden doesn't have very many supporters left in New York City. So really, I'm not surprised. What he needs to do is he needs to help the African American community like he said he would. But instead, he's just giving all their jobs away to illegal immigrants. And on top of that, if you're an illegal immigrant and you come to the United States, you can literally get a free hotel room and you get free social services. In order for you to be a United States American citizen or a military vet, they make it much harder to get on social services. So that's what makes me so frustrated is that, people want to call America racist. Well, I would agree America is a little racist because we marginalize Black people and we give support to other non-American citizens over American citizens. And I do think that the Democrats take advantage of the most vulnerable. And I know that might sound crazy, but call me cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I really don't see the African American community getting much help from the Biden administration when they said that was one of their most important things when it came to making America, better for African Americans.
Before I let you go, Alex, let's look at what Donald Trump has been saying. A Biden campaign spokesperson has dismissed Donald Trump's challenge to a golf match after his poor debate performance. Here is Donald Trump.
In the debate, Sleepy Joe also declared that he wanted to test his skills and stamina against mine on the golf course. Can you believe this? Did you ever see him swing? I'm also officially challenging Cricket Joe to an 18-hole golf match right here. I will give him 10 strokes a side, and if he wins, I will give the charity of his choice, any charity that he wants, $1 million.
Look, I'm personally not into the golf thing, but what about you, Alex? Do you want to see Joe Biden and Donald Trump play?
Are you kidding? Yes, we need that very badly. We need that golf match because Joe Biden's biggest lie in the latest debate is that he had a 6 handicap. Joe Biden would take 250 shots to play an 18-hole course. I mean, it would take him longer than his 4 years that he's been in as president. So if Joe Biden's going to lie about that, it's an easy slam dunk when Donald Trump spends all of his free time on the golf course. So I would love it. But knowing the Democrats, they would probably have some sort of magnetic ball with a magnetic club with a magnetic hole and cheat so Joe Biden could win. So I don't even know if I would trust the results. I don't trust anything from the lefties anymore.
Alex Stein, so great to speak with you. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure. Talk to you again soon.